All right. Welcome to this first Tuesday of May as we do today's From Boxes to Butterflies. And we're going to talk about writing, what it is to be an author, what it is to be a first time author, and gratitude. It's going to be a lot of fun today. And as I always do, I want to start off with checking on those around you. Check on those who you know that they've gone through something in their life, whether it's a medical issue, a family issue, a job related issue, and there's so many different things. You knew what was going on when it happened, but have you checked in since? We're also good at making it look like we're doing fine. And when we do that, we're really, yeah, it's kind of what society expects us to do. Look fine, be happy, smile. Doesn't mean that that's how we are doing. So checking on those around you, make sure that they are doing fine. Ask them how they're doing. And if they just say fine, don't take it. As Agape said, fine is feelings inward, not expressed. And fine has just become a catch-all word. It doesn't really mean anything. So let's go ahead and start asking people how they're doing. Check in on those around you and make sure that they're doing more than fine. Or if they're not, how you can help. Always checking in. In terms of sponsors, I love starting with my dear sis, Dr. Constance LEYLAND with Level Up Academy. And she's just freaking amazing. I love my sister. And she is the Netflix of education. The way she's there to level everybody up, the projects that we've worked on, the things that she has. She has her own press release. So she can provide press releases for you in all these different industries. Scan the QR code, check her out. She has podcasts, she has TV show, radio, live stream. All of this is stuff to check out because she knows how to help lift you up. And when you're ready to put your message out there, when you need somebody to help build the publicity, she will be there to basically guide you. When you say, this is the product, this is the book, this is whatever it is you want to promote, and you talk through it with her, she will make sure that you're ready to put it out there. And if you're not, then she will give you ideas and guidance on what to do to get ready. Then we have the Hounds of Business community and Mike Ashebrainer, leader of the pack. When it comes to the Hounds, we look at collaboration over competition. And think about that. When you are collaborating with others, even if they're doing the same thing that you are, or you feel like they're doing the same thing, they're in the same business, the same industry, that doesn't make them competition. Remember, there's 8 billion people on this planet. Your connections, those who are going to work best with you, are going to be a variety of people, but that doesn't mean they're going to be the same ones as what somebody else and they're going to connect with. When you collaborate, it's a chance to share the experience, share the anxiety. It drops the anxiety, quite frankly, and you get to learn from each other as you grow and you get yourselves in front of a wider community together. And again, just because a lot of people know you and might follow you, that doesn't mean that they're all the ones that are going to connect with you. And the same for those that you collaborate with. So it opens you up to a wider audience. And that's what we want, right? So check out the Hounds of Business. Then we have C&M Consulting, a leading management and advisory consulting firm that specializes in human resources, in HR. And this is something that just, you know, you got to have HR for your organization. They're centered around empathy-driven and heart-led solutions. And that's what my dear sis is. Empathy-driven, goes with her heart. knows how to ensure that compliance with regulatory requirements are at the top of your focus while fostering a culture of trust and workplace excellence. So check her out, C&M Consulting. And then as we go into this, we have started with this anthology, Grateful, A Heart Wide Open. But that doesn't mean that we've closed the doors on this. We're still actually going to let it be open for a couple of weeks if people want to join us. When it comes to gratefulness, gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, think about your story and how amplifying your voice, amplifying your story of gratitude can actually make a difference for somebody else out there. When they read it and they see a connection, or your story gives them that path that they were missing to get from whatever place of stuckness they are, whatever box they might be hidden in, to being able to emerge and let gratitude be something that's they can start being grateful. And think about how much being grateful improves how you feel. That feeling of gratitude, being grateful for others, grateful for opportunities, for events that happen in your life that make it better. So come join us. And I'm taking a page out of my dear sis's previous anthology that we did. So we're going to allow like 3 to 5 pictures within each chapter. It really adds to the gratitude within each of these chapters, within each person's story. So come join us and know that you can write 1,500 words, or you can write up to 5,000 words. We increased that over the weekend too, because gratitude is such an important and major thing. And I keep the QR code up there as well, so you can scan that QR code for more information on Grateful, A Heart Wide Open. But now I want to bring up my guest because it looks like they're ready. How's it going, gang?
Hey.
Good.
How are you?
Happy Monday.
Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies, doesn't it? Yeah. It's going to be a wild week. I already know that. But I'm so glad to have you guys on and be able to have Leo on and share your story, Leo, on what you've done. I want to start off with kind of talking about yourself, kind of an intro to who is Leo and what you want to share as we lead into talking about gratitude and writing and whatever else happens to come up today.
Yeah. So I'm Leo Manaois, husband to Danielle Manaois, as most of your audience knows. So I, am a app developer working in the government, but I also do a little bit of consulting with my wife's company and help her out with the IT perspective of things. But talking about your book and the anthology and what it means to be a part of this project is, I feel honored to be invited to this type of project. I've seen Danielle's work and I've read her stories and her chapters, and it, like she said, it's a freeing and teaching moment but she also it's a healing moment. So, she sees that in me, and she, the things that we've been through over at least the past year or so. Um, it's a healing moment for me to understand who I am and where I'm supposed to be, and hopefully this is a step in that direction. And like I've told you and CJ, that I feel honored and to be a part of your projects, and to be a part of this project. I'm sorry. And I want to see where this leads me, and hopefully it'll lead to bigger and brighter futures.
Well, you've been part of the other projects, and
I've read them, yes.
I mean, it's been this is our sixth anthology,
Right.
and it really has been amazing to see all the different stories that have been in.
Yes.
But this year, we've kind of taken a shift, because last year we kind of had a theme that went through the whole year, and this year when CJ broke everything with Chronicle of Scattered Pages, Stories from Everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
an anthology that had no specific structure, had no specific theme, which quite frankly, I just say the theme was there's no theme. and to see how that went, and actually we're taking a lot of that into this one as well, because
Right.
as I said over the weekend, as CJ and I were talking in that first Zoom meeting with the authors, to me, gratitude, there's so much, it's such a diverse topic,
Yes.
and being able to add photos, more photos to it, very similar to the last one,
Mm-hmm.
can help paint that picture of what that gratitude really means for each author. And so having the pictures, and then because we want to do it right, we will probably do this one in color as well, which, yeah, it makes it a little bit more expensive when you get the paperback, but holding a book that you write
Yes.
has your photos in color, what do you think that's going to be like?
I think it's going to be an amazing feeling, to see and to let other people know, and to let other people into our lives, and not just our lives, but my life uh, specifically. I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be amazing. We're going to, try and pick the best photos that we can to include in there. So, yeah.
And what do you think, Danielle? What are you anxious to see what happens in this?
I guess, from my perspective, it would be maybe a little anxious, only because, normally we kind of do things like together, and rarely do we kind of do it apart. But like the first anthology that I did with you all, I almost did it in seclusion. And I did share it with Leo eventually. And then, like it was both healing for both of us, only because it was maybe coming a story that we both endured, more, maybe more him than I. At least the impact of it to my, physical self. So, or it might have been the, like act of losing his mom. I think the anxiousness more is that we generally stay very kind of private about our personal relation, like what happens. We're pretty transparent people. Like, it's not that we're afraid to say it. I just think You know, in our culture, I think, you know, keeping it inside the home and with the family and handling it that way is kind of how we have kind of been. And so this is a breakaway of our norm. And I know that that is very anxious, made me very anxious initially, still kind of does. And like I've shared with CJ, I don't share as much as I could, only because of the, I'm not sure that, you know, our family might, you know, I'm being diplomatic. I don't know. I keep on rambling. They might not share the same sentiments. And it's not, I mean, like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And that can be very scary. Also, me not necessarily like being involved with it makes me a little nervous. But to me, I don't want to rob Leo of that healing journey. I want him to take the reins and see where it goes for him, and not have any expectation or, you know, fear from me, you know, like, to look at it, I guess. You know, it's like, from his perspective, he has something to do.
Oh.
And, you know, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. Yes, it does make me anxious, but only in a sense of,
Me too.
normally we do things together and normally we're pretty private about certain things, you know, but I think that it is important to share our experiences, our triumphs, our successes, our struggles, our hardships, because you never know what words will resonate with people and might also help them get through a difficult time. So I think that what I'm saying is, I think that the pros outweigh the con. And even if they, I don't know if that they are, maybe just like concerns, like, but you know, I'm excited, actually, maybe more than anything.
And that's, I think there's a lot to be excited for. It's and it's, I know that writing this, especially being first time, it's going to be interesting to see how you do emotionally on this. I know how many authors that first time around, when you're writing your own story and you are thinking gratitude, in this case, you've got that focus. So it's a more positive focus, yet you never can tell what is going to pop up out of your past.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've never written anything like this before. So,
as a coder,
yeah. It will definitely be surprising to me, and that makes me a little anxious as well, because I don't even know right now where the story is going to go, where it's going to, you know, and
Right.
you know, what is going to resonate with others. So yeah, it's a little anxious, anxiety. There's a little bit of anxiety there. So
which is totally fine. And just from the experience that I've had with writing memoirs and these anthologies, when you've got that personal story, it's often interesting to see what from the past, when you're looking back,
yeah,
pops up, and oftentimes what things you forgot about pop up.
right.
And you're like, oh crap, I forgot about, and how it can make you feel. And the other thing to look at, because when CJ and I are editing these, we're there to also help make sure, be that sounding board. It's like, do you really want to say this? When we see, or if it is too far, it's like, let's find a different way to write this.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at it from a publisher standpoint, from
Right.
our brand standpoint, but also thinking about you as the author and making sure that what you write, we want you to be happy with what you write. We want you to be comfortable with what you're putting out there, both in the photos and in what you write.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. That's, yeah. And I think when I think in our, I don't know if it's just a personality thing or, that you want to put your best work out there, right? And in writing, accepting that, it's not necessarily going to be perfect, but that's the point, right? That is the point of life, is like accepting what it is, and moving forward. And I think maybe that's a big message, with the anthology. At least anybody could take it anyway, Gratefulness can happen, after hardship. It
In
can
many forms,
happen. Yeah, it could happen in little subtle moments. There's so many ways, that, could be in anything or anyone. And so I guess pinpointing, when you're deciding to write something, which one's the most,
Yeah.
but maybe freeing yourself and just, I think brain dumps are really great for that. And just like writing from a flowy place of where you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and just letting it, like all of the things, and then coming up with what really resonates maybe with you and what you think is important for people to hear. Because at the end of the day, it's a legacy that you are, forming, because, like these books will be written in stone, if you will.
Right.
So,
Right.
It's something that you're, that, and maybe I take it like that. Like it is something that our kids can say, like, wow, look at my mom or look at my dad. They are both published writers, and it gives that opportunity for them to use their voices for good, and to hopefully change people's lives in a positive way.
Right.
Or at least be accountable when they don't. So, I mean, I think over the years and in life, we have a lot to be grateful for, but we've certainly, had our fair share of struggles, especially the last couple of, starting in 2020 on.
Yeah. Well, and when I look at gratitude, because I kind of started outlining what I'm looking at writing for myself, part of that is looking back and listing things that you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that sometimes there has to be something that really went bad, but out of that there's something to be grateful for.
Right. Yeah, I too have started, kind of doing a memory dump, from what I can remember. But yeah, I have to put it down on paper too. It right now it's just all trying to stir up all these memories and see what kind of sticks out and what could be an impactful moment in my life, and that allowed me to show so much gratitude for whatever was being done for me or with me, or so yeah, I'm still trying to, I too am trying to figure out where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah.
Well, and you've got a lot in your story.
Oh yeah.
Even just the past year and a half.
Right.
So it's some of it can be, if you want to focus on a specific event, situation, you could do a gratefulness over the past year and a half. If you want to look at a wider scheme or a different period, you can do that just as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the kids, and like
listen.
Danielle said, though, this is going to be legacy. This is something
Yeah.
that pass down. It's not just your kids. It goes to the grandkids and the great grandkids, and goes on down the line, and any nieces and nephews that might end up being within that, or great nieces and nephews, or however that falls.
Right.
Being able to have that and say, not only look what I've gone through, but look at how I kept a focus on gratefulness, on gratitude through everything.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting place to start with your first anthology. And our little one's awake, so she's homesick, so she might come in the picture, but
it's okay.
So, I think that's a good, after what we've gone through, it's just, I think the difficulty for Leo might be that there just might be so many things to be grateful for. Like and we experienced too, but I can't say that I feel all of the impact of what this last year and a half has meant, or has, I want to say, shaped our family, or kind of shifted our trajectory. But I think in a context of gratefulness, thinking about that there are so many things that we take for granted a lot. And I just mean in general, like walking, breathing, living without pain. I think, and for those of you who have read some of our stories or have seen us, I won't take away the shine, but after big impact situations, and you see him sitting here, you think, oh, he, looks great. He's getting better. But I think the point is that you taking a step back, that the day to day, the struggles, all of those things, you don't generally see, the hard days, the difficult days, and happy days in there, right? Like, but I guess, being grateful, I think, is a constant, right? To keep you on that path. And it's hard to be like that when you've experienced what we have. I want to say it started 5 years ago. And just over time, like I think it feels a lot of the time, which people might not know because they just think, oh, we're smiling all the time. We're happy all the time, but almost sometimes, at least from my perspective, feels like we are always climbing an uphill battle. And every time we kind of maybe take 2 steps and we get higher up the peak, right? I guess if you say it, just there's something, or wind, or life, or
Something gets
things
in the
that
way.
just derail you when you are, I guess it's just like you're just trying to like climb up that summit, right? And in the grand scheme of things, it might look like it's easy, right? But sure, if everything is good, you know what I mean? If you have the privilege of money and finances and health, and to me, health now we know is a very much a privilege.
Yeah.
And the ability to, right? Like, think of all the people who don't have that ability, right? They're limited to what they can eat and what they can feed their kids. That impacts their ability to learn, and a parent's ability to function.
Right.
If you don't have adequate housing, I mean, there's just so many factors, but I mean, add that to someone who's sick is just, I mean, a lot, I think, so it's hard to, I mean, I think it's great that the story is called Gratefulness, because there's so much things to be grateful for. But I think in action on a day-to-day with someone struggling or a family struggling, it can be hard to ground yourself in that gratefulness as a practice in every moment that you are able to breathe. So, it's hard to capture in 1,500 to 5,000 words.
We'll try to make it.
of course it's going to be, because when you look, especially depending on what all has happened in one's life, it's going to be hard to do that, which is why sometimes it's that selecting the selecting a time period, or selecting a theme within your chapter, whether it's people, whether it's events, whether it's critters, whether it's take your pick.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be your faith.
Exactly.
Anything.
Mm-hmm.
So having that understanding of what you want for gratefulness, where you want to start, and see where it takes you. And it'll be interesting to see as you go through this, figure out how you really want to do this. Writing like this, there's a variety of different ways to write it.
Yeah.
Some will structure it, they will lay it out. It will have a very specific order to it. Others, before they even start writing. And others, like with me, I may have an idea as to where I want it to flow. And if I'm smart, I will jot that down somewheres. But I kind of let these things write themselves and see where it takes me, because I'm never quite sure where it's going to take me. And both ways are equally fine, because it's all on you as the author, as how you want to approach it.
Yeah. I honestly forgot where I was going to go with that.
That's another thing.
You never know where you're going to go. And it's, I want to make an impact on, my life, and my family's life. But, I'm also willing to help out in making an impact, in anybody's life, whoever I can touch and pull at their heartstrings, then, all the better. I want to relate to other people, and to to show that, yeah, we struggle, and we have struggled within the past, starting in 2020, it's been really rough. But you see who's in your life, and you see what's in your life, and you try and pick out those moments and those experiences, and try to reflect on those. And it's like I said, it's a memory dump that I have to like try and figure out. But I too also have been thinking about how to start this, how to start my story. Do I start it with a question? Do I start with a poem? Do I start, like you guys were saying over the weekend, you guys can include lyrics, you can include a poem, or something to help relate your story with, the readers. And I just trying to figure that into the mix, and try to, make it be a cohesive piece, is one thing that I've been trying to grasp. And so I have Danielle here to help me hopefully make that work, but we'll see where that goes.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, that, life is, when you're with someone, I mean, not just in like a, like a romantic relationship, but, when you walk with people, it's, yeah, I mean, I would want to see like just a dump of things and how you want it to be. I almost want to be surprised by it. And I think that I would love, that Leo has a hard time, I'm just going to be honest, putting himself first.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not, yes, the impact of your story, you know, can, you know, is a legacy for our kids. To me, the legacy is being a published author. A lot of people can't say that. And being able to say that, and, you know, inspires our kids to pursue what they think, or it tells them that they can do what we did too. I mean, to me, that's the legacy, but the story is still yours.
Right. Yeah.
The story is meant for you and to speak. It shouldn't, you know, yes, of course, concern about what other people feel or will feel after saying it, if it's controversial.
Yeah.
But if not, I mean, like, honestly, and, you know, it's taken me a long time, but if someone loves you, really loves you, they accept where you stand. They don't have to like it, you know, and it doesn't dishonor someone by telling your truth or your perspective. You know, because the story is yours. And if you want to use this story to just be an intro to who you are, that's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you use this as a healing, that's fine. If you use this as an opportunity to use your creative voice, that's also fine.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be for anything except for you. And to me, if inadvertently, right, the story does also, like, from my perspective, like, it somehow like honors someone or something, or your faith or whatever, that's awesome. But I think the main thing is you, like your story, your voice, and your stamp, right? Like, to me, I think, what do we say, sister? Like, if you were to leave today, what would your message be?
Mm-hmm.
Something that the people who love you would be touched by. To me, maybe that's a good place to start. Sometimes that's a verse, like, you know, or there's a song, which, okay, copyright people, just relax a little bit. It's a kid's song that talks about, you know, if in children's choir, and our kids sing it sometimes, that if our parents were to leave us in this world and we were orphaned, we will be okay because we have our faith, right? That's the main gist of the song. And it really resonates, I think, with us, that we cry because we lost parents
Yeah.
really young. And, you know, I think maybe that's not that you have to do it, but our faith is very much the grounding and the foundation of everything that we do, and the success and the pain and getting through it. I'm a firm believer that we would have not gotten through what we have without that faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's many times, even yesterday, full transparency, guys, recovery never stops, you know, and recovery from stroke, right? Because it's so unpredictable. While the brain and the body is so strong, you cannot predict when his headache's going to make him go to sleep, right? Like, he's going to need to close his eyes or all of these things. But anywho, my point is that I really hope that, Leo, I will, you know, of course I will stand beside you and what you need, you know, but I think take the reins and take the opportunity.
Yeah.
To really make this yours. It's not Danielle and Leo's story. This is Leo's story from Leo's perspective. You don't have to. I'm just saying, because I think Leo needs to hear, in our culture, you know, that respect for parents and people, you know, we take to heart. So if what we say is going to hurt someone, I think that's really difficult to break.
Yeah. My mom's always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, you know. You know, same goes for a story, or, you know, my life story. You know, if it's gonna hurt somebody's reputation, or if it's gonna hurt somebody in some sort of way, then, you know, why would I put it out there? But, you know, as my wife has said, you know, just,
Is that fear?
it's my story.
Well, yeah, like,
it's my story, so I should be able to be the one to tell it. Yeah.
Right. If it hurts, that's what I mean. It's like, that is a very empowering place to be, to say, you know, if this hurts you, that is, but, and I think that's what some of it is that we're so worried about how it's going to make somebody feel that we're trapped in this box that we have here that's going to keep us from really growing. Because that might be childhood traumas or the way that we think. We can still be Christian and say that someone hurt us,
right.
or something hurt me. And that's to me, that's why I'm trying to free him from, even if you think the words might hurt me, let's just say, because I think he'd probably be the most concerned about how I would feel about it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's still your perspective. Like, it's still your story to tell, right? And to me, a libel would be pushing it, obviously, and that would, but it comes to a point where, are you going to let it shackle you, the fear shackle you, or are you going to break away from it? And to me, that action of breaking from things is very empowering and can be healing when you let it. You don't have to say bad things about people. That's not what I mean.
No, yeah.
I just mean, like, sitting on a bed or losing your mom, like those things, those are yours, right? How did it make you feel? Like, because there's so many people that lose their loved ones. It doesn't have to be your mom. No, but think about it. Have you heard that saying, sister? Like, your mom is the only one who, like, unconditionally, like, loves you, right? Like, you could do whatever in the world, and your mom. Most moms are parents, and not that we were not very much impacted by Leo's dad dying, but when Leo's mom died, it was horrible.
Just ask who's gonna fold my clothes when I
You're gonna find that, though, all over the place. And as you're writing, as you're thinking about these moments of gratitude, like I said, you're not gonna know what's gonna come out. So, as you guys alluded to, even things from childhood can pop up because you suddenly see the connection between things in childhood and things in adulthood. I've seen that in the writing, and in terms of what you're gonna do, what you're gonna write. Part of it, especially because we go through drafts on these, and it's been a wonderful thing for me as I work with different authors when they just kind of lay it out all on the paper, and then I'm there and CJ's there to say, okay, now is this what you want, or do you want to reword it somehow? If it's too far, then again, I think I mentioned this before. It's like we will say, maybe we can rephrase this.
Yeah.
If we know, especially when we know you, or if you come into it and say, okay, I just laid it all out there, but I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe change this section around, or I said this stuff, but I feel like maybe I was too harsh. How can I soften it? Or this one was too soft. I feel like it really should be harder. How do I do that? And that's what we do in terms of the editing part as well, is help you to make sure that story, when you get to the final draft, when you get even to the Zoom draft conversation of your story and what you want to say, how it comes across, then we're there to help make sure that it comes across the way you want it to.
Right.
And it's always your voice.
Thank you. Yes. I appreciate you guys being in my corner and helping me navigate through this first time author journey. I find it very signifying, I guess is the word, that your show is called From Boxes to Butterflies. Like what Danielle was alluding to earlier, that I need to break away from my own box of being of putting others first before myself. And so, to fly free like the butterfly, wherever it will go, it'll make its own pattern and flight. But and the same will probably go with my story is, I have to find my butterfly and fly with it, and whichever way it's going to go, however it's going to, but it also has to be my story. And, like you guys have been saying, that you'll be there to help my voice resonate throughout my story, is just, it's a very supporting, I don't know what you call it. It's a supporting thing that, I look forward to have you guys, you three, in my corner to, help me write my story and like I said, help have my voice resonate through it. So.
Well, and that is what we look at is to make sure, because the last thing we want is an anthology where everybody sounds alike.
Yeah.
It doesn't work
Yeah,
that way.
you don't want
We're all diverse, so it has to be in the author's voice, and sometimes that comes through in terms of even how words are going to get spelled, or how one writes and how it aligns with how they speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen that too. I've dealt with working with writers, even classmates, where English was not their first language by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And so making sure that by the time it's done, I haven't given them the perfect English, because that's not them. That's not their voice.
Right.
So everything has to come across in your voice. And that's what I love about these anthologies. And to hear the different voices within each chapter.
Yeah.
Is just amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like as I've read in the past in your five other anthologies, every story has a different voice, and every, and as I kept reading different stories, you start to understand who the person is, where they've a little bit of where they've come from, and you kind of relate that story to yourself and your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, like I've mentioned before, I want to help that too. But I also want to tell my, like Danielle has been saying, I have to tell my story, whether it resonates with somebody or it relates to somebody. At least my story's out there, for my children to see, for my grandchildren, niece and nephew, and yeah, just letting them know that what I've gone through as Leo, and hopefully it'll allow them to learn from my mistakes or take away something good. And so yeah, we just hope for the best and fly like the butterfly.
One of the things too that I look forward to with all of these, and I don't talk about this much, though it's happened with every anthology, And that's where CJ actually steps in and writes her own description of what each author writes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The way that she does it and what she puts into these, because it's going to be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And her style is very unique. And so when she does this, it really is amazing to hear how she encapsulates each author's story,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that when you hear it through her recap, what she sees, it just accentuates each of these stories within the anthologies.
Yeah. I think I remember Danielle crying through one of those moments. But
Wow.
but she was happy. It wasn't a sad cry. It was more of like, wow, somebody actually really got it. Like my story, somebody really understood what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason why you guys are sisters, right? You guys get each other.
Telling
You guys
everybody our
relate.
secrets.
You guys, and I'm hoping to be a part of that sisterhood. Maybe me and Mike can be brothers. Brother sister? I don't know.
I thought you were already brothers.
No, brother sister. I think CJ calls him, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. You're funny. You want to be cool.
I just want to be cool. This is the cool group.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. No, I do think that writing got me through a lot. And I think intentionally by, I guess, life's design, meeting CJ and you and just going through the, journey, we just, that those things really shape kind of what happens in your life, you get to see it's kind of exciting. I think sometimes you look back and you're like, oh man, I'm sad that I can't, that someone's not here or I'm not as close, but
Mm-hmm.
then you look around and you're like, oh, though I'm really around people that I really care and want to see me grow.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for those who have been in my life in big ways or small, and that realization of more of a gratefulness, that gratitude that you carry, I think that it changes your perspective on how to, approach life. And, instead of being, because we could be sad about, you having 4 strokes, but, it is sad, right? I think I go, wow, I kind of sound dismissive there, but I mean, it becomes more difficult when I was talking to someone recently and when everything's a fight. And I think the point is that it shouldn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have to be a fight to be able to heal.
Mm-hmm.
The systemic nature of our culture here in America is that we give timelines for things and not for others. And someone like Leo that really needed a little bit more time to heal, but maybe it was God's time, and that's it. We thought he was going to retire, and it just so happened that that's not what happened. So, I think at first it's really scary, but that gratefulness of just being grateful for the moment. Like today I was able to wake up. Today I was able to log into my computer. Today I get to work and contribute to my family. It's not all what I want it to be, but I'm grateful. There's so many things to be grateful for. So much easier to do that than to be like, okay, he has some significant memory loss and brain, like we don't know will heal. Staying in that just becomes more difficult. Like even some of the things that come in that, you know, we have to deal with, you don't even want to deal with. Because the world just almost keeps on going and still expects the same things as if you were okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, fortunate in most things, yes, absolutely, you know, but in some things, no. It's just like anybody, like, you know, after you have a kid, you go through something traumatic. Not that that's traumatic. Okay, everyone. It's just, it can be, for me, it was, you know, it shifts who you are, and adjusting to that is difficult, but staying in a grateful place kind of helps navigate away from maybe those anchors, or what I guess to me and my perspective would call them boxes, to break free of them, like break free of the chains.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it's important who you're around, because that really has a impact on you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Who you're around and who you avail yourself. You know, what do they say? You're the sum of the people that you're around. And to me, I had to be really mindful about that.
Right.
Me too.
I mean, because we like helping people, I think can be very difficult to really set a boundary, though. You know?
Yeah, and you know, some people have their rings, their circles of people that they consider as their, you know, their people, right? And so like she was saying, that sometimes it's hard to define where that circle ends and where the next one begins.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like she said, we love helping people, and so there's so many people that come into our lives, our family's lives, and we help them all, or we try to help them all, at least. And you know, we have to kind of look within ourselves and see, okay, put a definite ring around that circle of people who you know are grateful for, and are the other people there
Mm-hmm.
to help you or to be available to you, and not just physically but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I guess. You know, it's just yeah, having a definite circle. Sorry, our youngest is having fun over there. So yeah, just actually drawing, I guess, a literal circle around the people you care to, not care. Dang it! Now I'm having to
Take a deep breath.
Find the words. That you know are your people. Like, I know you and CJ are Danielle's people, and somewhere in there, I'm in there, I think. Like, a little bit.
As long as you drive like
yeah. I can't drive a boat. I can't drive a boat. And hopefully I can drive again a car, but you know, we'll see how that goes.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. You know, there's a lot of things to be grateful for in somebody's life, and you know, it's just a matter of trying to let those shine. Yeah.
You know, yeah, and like we're up at the hour, because you know, time just flies by.
It does.
So before we close, I just want to know if you have any last nuggets you want to put out there, or how people can find you, or anything else that you want to close with.
1 second, hold on. Elise, stop right now. Almost done. Oh, I think that I was not muted.
You weren't.
Oh gosh. Is there a way to cut that? Probably not. That's life with kids. Oh my gosh.
Life with 3 kids. How you can find me, who I my email is leo.manawis@gmail.com. So if you care to share anything that you think would help me in my first time author journey, shoot me an email.
I like that.
And we'll see what we can include or not include, or how we can how we can help each other. Yeah, that's one way. So
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on and getting
Thank
to know you, and the anthology is off and running now. So
yeah, thank you for having me on this show, and also within the book. So
we're very glad to have you in. And with that, I will say goodbye for today, and I will see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.
bye.